This is a story of two friends, a story of two clubs, a story of brotherhood and of art. But most importantly, this is a story about the drive and determination to do the things that we love.
The Scrapbooking Club for Men is an organization that gets together biannually to create art because art is beautiful.
My name is Tom Rogers and I'm an avid scrapbooking enthusiast.
We've been doing it for maybe 10 years or so. And I don't know, there's different reasons people scrapbook in the group. There's only 2 members of the group, so we each have our own reason.
There's like parts of you that you can take out and put on a page. And when you look at these, like later, you can look at these pages and remind yourself of a simpler time and when your life was better.
I mean, it's a social group. It's a friend, so that's fun.
I love scrapbooking more than anything. I was practicing my scrapbooking in the library at the Wichita State University when I saw a fellow scrapbooker across the way.
I was creating a scrapbook for my beer league hockey team, and I forget what he was doing. It's probably something to do with his brother. They have a lot of issues.
My older twin brother, Tim, is not as enthusiastic about scrapbooking as I am, despite the name of his absurdist comic group, the Men's Scrapbooking Club.
The two Rogers boys had a somewhat typical childhood growing up. Their mother had died when they were very young, either due to old age or getting hit by a meteorite. The autopsy was inconclusive. Their father would be home only half the time. The boys suspected that he may have been living another life in a different neighborhood. When he was home, he showed the boys different crafts like puppet building and scrapbooking. Tom really took to the scrapbooking, but his older twin brother Tim Rogers was resentful of Tom's creativity. When Tom was diagnosed with FAS, or fleeting accent syndrome, the teasing from his older brother was only exacerbated. This was due to Tim having a condition himself, being the bomb, or tormenting, hope-extinguishing, bigger, older, meaner brother. Tim had a proclivity to tear up any scrapbooks that Tom made, so Tom began scrapbooking in private. Tom thought he would only scrapbook by himself until that fateful day at the library when he met Billy.
I was there and he saw me, cutting some pictures and pasting them together, and he thought, hey, I'd like to cut pictures and paste them together with that guy.
It was pretty crude. His skills were not where they should be. He may have good hands on the rink, on the ice, but he does not have good hands with a pair of scissors. Come to find out, it is because he is left-handed and he has a hard time using right-handed scissors.
It's been a match made in scrapbooking hell.
I told him about left-handed scissors, and he said, "Oh, I wish there was a group that could meet up and share tips like that on scrapbooking." And I agreed, and I said yes. Although I did not feel that he had anything that he could teach me, I could probably teach him some scrapbooking skills.
So the Scrapbooking Club for Men was born. They were dedicated to the advancement of all things scrapbooking. Tom had ambitious ambitions for the group.
Tom felt that the art we were creating was something that shouldn't be just shown to small groups of people. He thought, we were WCU students, and one of the biggest collections of students you can get together is at Hippodrome.
There was a hope that perhaps I would, bring some people in that knew how to scrapbook and they could show me a thing or two.
Tom wanted the audience. The audience was there, and he felt that scrapbooking was something that could be a performance art.
We were really making some good pictures and scrapbooking. We had just gotten a pair of flourishing scissors.
Tom is not a performer. He doesn't work well in front of groups. Maybe why he does so much scrapbooking.
We were showing our scrapbooks to the crowd.
So he was showing pictures, and they weren't making fun of the pictures.
No one was too excited, but no one was being mean about it. They probably thought I was retarded.
I hate to say it wasn't funny, but it was.
Tim Rogers, my older twin brother, and 2 of his friends.
It was Tim, Andy, and Nathan.
Started heckling me, and I'm not too proud to admit this, but I did cry a little, and I wanted to leave, and they came up on stage and like kind of chased me off, and off the end of the stage around some administrators.
Once Tom ran off stage, they grabbed him, pushed him to the ground, said a few inappropriate things in front of a few school administrators.
The beating was not only physical, it was mostly an emotional beating.
They jumped on stage real quick.
They kind of talked to each other, and they're like, why don't we just go up there and be the men's scrapbooking club and make fun of Tom and Billy.
It didn't work out well for our group.
I said, that's not the name of it. It is the Scrapbooking Club for Men. And then they said, whatever, went up there, and they just started throwing forks at each other. And they did well. Like, people liked it.
Like, it was just very weird. I didn't understand what was going on, but the crowd seemed to like it, which is beyond me.
The whole ordeal kind of messed me up, and I decided to kind of lay off the scrapbooking for a while. I was still kind of tender from the beating that Tim Rogers, my older twin brother, had given me.
And yeah, that was a bad day. That was a bad couple months. He and I didn't talk for a few months after that. He went into a bit of a shell.
After his humiliation, Tom disappeared. He retreated far away from society, but mostly from his older twin brother, Tim Rogers. Tom stayed in hiding until one day when he received great news.
My parents had informed me that my older twin brother, Tim Rogers, had left town to go to Kansas University.
Tim left for Kansas University to get an MFA in being a motherfucking asshole.
At that point, I felt emboldened and tried to start up the club again, and I did. I got a hold of Billy, who had been scrapbooking a lot.
Out of nowhere, Tom calls me again, feeling that there's some hope for the Scrapbooking Club for Men, and wants to get back into it, which I'm totally cool with. You know, I like two things. I like scrapbooking, and I like playing hockey. And honestly, I think I only play hockey anymore just so I have something to scrapbook about.
Billy had come a long way since we first met. We decided to start up the club again.
He goes, "Hey, let's do this. Let's put on some more shows," which I still didn't understand. This is scrapbooking. It's usually for yourself or, you know, a small group of people that want to see these pictures.
So I had found this old van, and I had converted it into the scrap van. It had scissors and glue and tape and different hole punchers. Some were like circles, but many kinds of circles, like a 1/2-inch circle up to a 2-inch circle, some stars.
Tom wanted to do some shows, so who am I to say no? I don't mind having a good time. So it was an excuse to drink, so it was all good.
5-point stars, 6-point stars, 7-point stars, 8-point stars, 9-point stars, 10-point stars, asterisks.
We had this one show, I remember, I think it was at a Walmart parking lot.
I would be there at the scrap van, scrapbooking in the Walmart parking lot, inviting children to come over and experience the magic of scrapbooking.
I finally talked Tom into just doing like exhibits where we just put it on, allow viewers to walk through and ask us about our scrapbooks and our different collages and whatnot.
Of course, now I understand that their parents probably perceived me as a child molester.
We were putting on shows all over town, you know, nothing crazy, but having fun, you know, putting our name out there, getting noticed.
My older twin brother, Tim Rogers, had come back to Wichita, and he had heard that we were doing a show in the Walmart parking lot with the scrap van, and him and his friends showed up. This was a great time for us. We had expanded. We had doubled our membership. There was 4 of us. There was myself, Billy,
Seth, and Jarrett.
Walmart parking lot? Oh, was that thing with the scrapbookers? No, I just murdered someone, so I just needed an alibi. So I saw a flyer somewhere. So
Tim Rogers, my older twin brother, showed up with 2 of his friends.
You know, I don't know if they're some sort of weird West Side Story gang, but like white shirts and black ties, and they came through with 10W30 oil.
They put oil all over our scrapbook.
And tried to light it on fire after they were dumping the oil all over our scrapbooks, and it didn't light because it's not how it works. But they ruined a lot of our art.
You put oil on paper, the paper it's like translucent. You can't use that anymore.
Tom jumped back into the van, slammed the door, and sat there for an hour and a half.
So of course I went in the van and cried for an hour and a half. 2 hours.
So me, Seth, and Jarrett were just left stranded outside of the van, oil soaked, and it wasn't that cold, but feeling weird, while Tim and his fucking little ragtag group of friends were giggling and running away.
Much to my surprise, when I leave the van, expecting some comfort from, I had a hard time. Billy and Seth and Jarrett were out there waiting the whole time. I step outside the van, I see Jarrett's gone. Jarrett had picked up and left. He called them a bunch of oily pussies and said, I don't want to be part of this scrapbooking club. I'm going to the men's scrapbooking club.
So Jarrett left and went with them and started hanging out with them. Got himself a white shirt and black tie. And
they tried to tell him they don't do scrapbooking, but he went anyway.
I guess he went from the scrapbooking club for men to the men's scrapbooking club.
I know Jarrett still makes scrapbooks. I've seen it on Grindr.
Well, once the guy with the headband was done crying like a little bitch, I stole that van and I traded that shit for 4 pounds of ham, handful of old Yu-Gi-Oh cards, not very good ones, and half a pack of Bronsons. It was a good score.
Another hiatus occurs after that.
At this time, I become a recluse once again, and I go and I hide for several months.
While Tom was in hiding, Tim and the men's scrapbooking club had a sort of renaissance. Fueled by mean-spiritedness, they began making videos with the intention of making fun of Tom. However, some of the members were not as keen on devoting their lives to oppressing Tom.
It's me! Hey!
Nathan applied for and ultimately received the job with the Secret Service. Jarrett stuck around because what the fuck else is he gonna do? Mandy got a job doing stuff with airplanes or computers or some shit.
You have all this data that you want to get from one place to another place, so this data could be anything from...
The job would require him to travel.
Here into France. The tall blonde mean one left, and he went to France. Tim Rogers, my older twin brother, had decided, I'm gonna cool down a bit. Like I'm just not, I'm gonna get things together, and so that was good for me. It was I took advantage of the situation and I began scrapbooking again with Billy. I called him up, and of course he's always down.
So then a year or so passes, and both clubs are doing their own thing. We're trying to stay out of each other's hair. I think Tim has matured a little bit finally. So I think he's got a child at this point. He can only do so many silly things.
Much like Tom's accents, this time of peace would not last. Tim grew exhausted of not being mean to Tom and went to recruit the most unsavory character he could find, Brent Duncan. The all-new men's scrapbooking club went after Tom with an unforeseen amount of dickitude.
Tom was at home one day, probably scrapbooking, that's what he does, but Tim had come over and a new guy joined the group, Brent. So now Brent, Jarrett, and Tim were together. And they took a lawnmower into Tom's house and just started washing it in the sink.
Tim, he got one of those hairs in his butt, and he showed up to my house with a disgusting lawnmower. I think they ran over birds with it.
I didn't understand why Tom had a problem with it.
Baby birds everywhere.
He was irate. And then again, another fucking thing where he just shuts her down, doesn't want to scrapbook with me anymore, and So then I was left to, cut by myself. And without a left-handed pair of scissors, that hurts.
And so began the darkest time of all.
I was living in a cave.
Tom found refuge in a cave at a state park where he hid from all of humanity to practice his craft.
I learned to eat millipedes and centipedes and animals, squirrels, dogs, cats, bikers.
So for the next 5 or 6 years, we didn't really do anything as a group anymore.
I had a bag that was just, all I had was, everything that belonged to me, just little scissors and those stickers that like had little inspirational things in it, saying like, good job types of glue. I had spray glue. I had some paper, the normal stuff. And I decided, I'm gonna take another stab at it. And I realized it had been 10 years since we had begun. I got a hold of Billy. Of course, he's down. He loves to scrapbook.
This has been the longest we'd been apart as a group, and so I figured it was over. I've been trying to do different things with my art.
He had completed his scrapbook and he was like ready to start a new one.
I get a call 3 weeks ago from Tom, and he says, "Hey, I want to put on a 10-year anniversary show."
Billy and I decided that we're gonna have a reunion show and we want to have it at the Fish House.
As of right now, it's looking like the Scrapbooking Club for Men is blowing up. I mean, this could be it for us, and I couldn't be more excited.
This is a promotional video to promote the Scrapbooking Club for Men show that will be at the Fish House on the 5th and 6th of December. I hope to see you there.
I don't think there's anything Tim can do to ruin this.
Homeboy probably still thinks I'm in the group, but I'm not going. I heard on the street that they're having a show. I'm not going to the show. I said, fuck that. I'm going to be in Kansas City. Him and his brother can go fuck themselves. I hate scrapbooking clubs. Both of them. Peace.
Well, I think it would be fair to say the show didn't go exactly as planned.
All right, so before we get started, everyone go ahead and pull out their scissors.
So I asked everyone to pull out their scissors and their glue so that we could begin scrapbooking. I was going to go up there and hopefully they would follow along, but come to find out, nobody had brought any scrapbooking materials.
So the thing with the purple, the purple washable school glue stick is if you open it up and you put out the glue and then the glue is clear, you know the whole thing is dry because it dries clear, but it's more white than clear. It's straight, just kind of it's mislabeled for sure.
At first I was quite excited. In there, the room was full. Tons of people showed up, more than my wildest dreams.
So, yeah, I'm using Top Cat for sure. So I don't quite know where to put this filter. You can pull it apart, right?
You need to go back to scrapbooking school, Tom.
Whatever. You need to go back to scrapbooking school.
I tried to make the best of it. I invited people up to, get stickers and whatnot, but most of them were not a fan of me. A man comes out and tells me that I have to get off the stage, and I tell him, no, I have this reserved. This is the scrapbooking show. I asked him, who's supposed to be here tonight? And he says the men's scrapbooking club is. So of course I get upset. I toss the table. I tell them I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is my show. These people are here to see me, and they assured me they were not there to see me.
I'm not backing up. I'm going to stay right here. All of you are going to watch me clean this shit up.
Then the man came back out with a megaphone and was kind of wisping me off the stage.
Get the fuck off the stage! Get the fuck off the stage! Come on, get that shit up from here! Get up! Get up! Get up! Come in, Scrapbook, your club is coming.
I lost my nerve and I got off the stage and I left.
We want you off the stage.
I thought you grew up a little.
Thank you.
At this point, I would say it's time to go back to the cave, but the truce between myself and the bears has expired, and I just don't feel like waking them from hibernation to renegotiate the terms of it, so I'm just going to wander the plains. I don't know, maybe 10 years. I'm not going to do performance art anymore. It doesn't make sense. Scrapbooking is not a performance art. Just Billy taught me anything. So, yeah, I'm just going to scrapbook for myself now. Be out there. I don't care if I run into other people. I enjoy the silence.
Tom is a fucking crazy person. He and I are not even related. There's no way in this world that he and I are twins. I mean, Tom and I were friends as kids, but he just lost his shit when his mom got hit by a meteorite.
Words like violence break the silence, come crashing into my little world. Painful to me, pierce right through me. Can't you understand? Oh, my little girl, all I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm.
He thinks our dad is Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, God rest his soul. I mean, we share a last name, and in Tom's crazy head, maybe that everyone with the same last name is twins. But that'd be impossible because there's thousands of people with the same last name. I mean, is everybody named Jones twins?
Vows are spoken to be broken. Feelings are intense, words are trivial. Pleasures remain, so does the pain. Words are meaningless and forgettable. All I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm.
You know, I'm trying to do a show, and there's Tom. Tom shows up. Tom's got fucking spiral notebooks and stickers, and that's a great job. Like Tom, we don't even scrapbook. We're called the Men's Scrapbooking Club, but it's a farce. It's a weird obsession, and I've even gone to the courts and tried to seek out, a restraining order.
All I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm. All I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm.
I was out mowing my lawn one day. I noticed something kind of shiny. It was under the window by the foundation. So I shut the mower off and I walked over there to see what it was. And there in the grass was all these little bits of glitter and shavings of paper, like rusted scissors, discarded construction paper pieces, flakes of dry glue. There was chalk dust, oil pastel residue, sparkle spirographs, tracing paper. There was decals, decoupage, markers, marker caps, paint cans. There was screen printing materials, film negatives. There was watercolors, paintbrushes, Crayola markers, crayons, crayon sharpeners. And I was like, what the fuck?
Enjoy the silence.